How many do I have, actually? So if I go to Spirit Origin list, I don't have 362. Filter out the experience and foes. How big can I make this? 3, 6, 8, 8, 16, 24. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64, 72, 80, 88, 96, 104, 102, 120, 128, 136, 144, 152. We have 100. I have 159. Damn. Also, because I may as well, let us get the Lantern of Chaldea, or the Chaldea Visionary Flames. I will eventually get that invisible air. Flames or lures. I mean, flames is quartz, you know. And there are always going to be at least 3 lures in every event, so... Iskander and Saber Diarmund. Wow. I mean, Saber Diarmund is in the general pool at the very least, so I imagine that you'll be able to get him. He'll spook you at one point or another. Ooh. Excuse me. I imagine Saber Diarmund will spook you at one point, because he spooked me. Iskander I got because I wanted Saber Diarmund, because I didn't know he was in the general pool originally. And he spooked me. Spooked by Iskandar. Yang Ying just fired another rocket. It looks like it's aimed straight at us, just like the first one. More supplies. I doubt it. I'm guessing it's either a direct attack, or it's carrying soldiers that can handle a rough ride, like when Akuda and the Prince first showed up. Given that this civilization has produced humanoid mechanical soldiers, there's no telling what could be coming next. That said, there has been something strange about this Lostbelt from the very beginning. Really? What is that? When Kalak and Ophelia came to fight us with their servants, they tended to bide their time, waiting for us to be weakened by other enemies. But Akuda hardly waited a moment before coming after us. Why do you think that is? Ooh, yeah, there is no real things that can fight, probably. That would seem to be the foremost possibility. Especially since this world is so peaceful, its people are completely unfamiliar with the concept of war. It may well be that this Lostbelt's ruler has no military force capable of engaging servants. Makes sense to me. Standing armies are nothing more than walking money pits. Keeping one around without an enemy to fight just wouldn't make sense. If there's no army here, this Lostbelt will be much easier to deal with. While we should refrain from getting our hopes up, I believe we are about to see Jiang Ying's first attack sans Akuta. This battle will tell us a great deal about this world's military strength. Here comes the rocket, guys. Watch the impact. What's even the point of waiting for it to land? We know it's got enemies on it, right, Master? So why don't we just smash the thing out of the sky? Do it, Mo. This is the evil sword that destroyed my father. Clarence Blood Arthur! Hell yeah, nailed it. It's not over yet. We're still picking up its magical energy signal. Something's coming out of the wreckage. Evening temperature. Evaluating magical energy release. Threat level minimal. Oh, that's not a robot. That is not a robot. It's the Bloodborne boss. The four arms. A 4-armed centaur. This dude is straight out of Bloodborne. Nasu, you mad lad, you. Is that a person or a horse? Whatever he is definitely not human. What's with these readings? His magical energy pattern is closer to automaton than a servant, but his values are just off the charts. This guy's gotta be as powerful as a dragon-class demonic beast. What? Are you quite sure of that, Da Vinci? You're certainly is an automaton and a living creature. Trust me, I couldn't believe my eyes either. He really is a machine, and these readings don't make any sense at all. You're starting to scare me. What's so strange about that, anyway? Unlike living organisms, the machines output rises and falls based on operational parameters. No one would be so foolish as to fully open the throttle when one ready to leave it in the warehouse, right? All of this is to say this enemy is just still warming up. It's still just warming up. It's coming off this much magical energy while it's still warming up. That was a roar. Well, I trust too much of the waveform, Da Vinci. Well, yes, we've been up against a number of opponents that have vast amount of magical energy before, but none of them took on such small forms. Retreat! Retreat! Oh crap, it's too late! Hang in there as best you can until we find a way to escape, guys. Or if you do, don't go toe-to-toe! Don't go toe-to-toe! Oh, Da Vinci. You underestimate my power. I've got Melt on my side. I should have brought Scotty along at this point. And I'm kind of wondering why I haven't. Okay, he looks fucking awesome. Immune to mental debuffs. That's not bad at all. I do need more cards for Melt, though. So we'll do a Merlin chain here to test the waters. I think. Berserker as well makes this easier. I honestly could have brought Abby to this fight. That's a better Melt's turn. This also means that she'll have Buster card next turn as well. If my memory of her first turn is correct. Also, it's 3 turns for the poison now. Interesting. 3 turns on the poison. It's just gonna... pretty much gonna go to the point where, you just don't have access to them during the whole course of combat. 220, not bad. And then the crit. And that is easy. Oh, Da Vinci, you underestimate my power, man. I love proving Da Vinci wrong. Damn, he's tough. Such devastating oppression. How can I not rush to meet it? Don't watch yourself, Spartacus. He'll cut even you to ribbons if you just run in like a jackass. Oh, like a jackass. I see. So this is the extent of their capabilities. Lostbelt isn't so bad, but the story is enjoyable. It is! It is making me think, and I am very much enjoying it. So we've got another survey head this way. And it looks like it's Akuta Hiko's Prince of Lanling. This is bad. If he joins the forces with this automaton now. Why'd you go on the attack without us, Lord Xiangyu? Xiangyu? Did he say Xiangyu? I needed to measure our opponent's abilities. That's all I can really do. I believe I have gained sufficient data in this encounter. We can begin our strategy meeting. Let us go to camp. I will formulate a plan to lead us to flawless victory. Yes, Lord Xiangyu. Allow me to lead the way. They retreated. Well. Yeah, more likely to let us go. Looks like that thing just stopped by to check us out. Just to check us out? You're joking. The thing was far more powerful than our servants. What the hell was he? No, he wasn't. You know, but he didn't even try to keep his true name secret. Without the plug suit swap, one-shot the caster boss with Ilya. Ooh, rip. Caster boss with Ilya one-shot. I mean, Ilya is... Isn't Ilya like the strong... I mean... Yeah, Ilya is the strongest single target caster, isn't she? She has her own buster buff, and her NP does increase buster damage, which goes even higher up with overcharge. The only other single target caster off the top of my head is Sun Zong. She's pretty decent. At the very least, Sun Zong has her battery, but like I don't think I've actually compared their damage to each other. Jiang Yu. I know nothing about him. So Jiang Yu, the hegemon king of Western Shu, who vied with Liu Bang, the founder of the Han Dynasty, for control of China. Thank you for that exposition. Ilya's higher burst at the same NP level. Okay. My Sun Zong might outpace my Ilya, though, since I have Sun Zong at NP 2, because she likes me. Oh yeah, I can imagine. Especially since Ilya's NP causes such detriments at the completion of it. Are you Lord Jiang Yu? I'm fine. It hasn't been 2 million for it. It has been 4,800,000 hours since I last engaged in combat, but my chassis functioned without issue. I was hoping you would never need to take up your swords again. The Emperor has decreed I must. Combat may not be my original function, but this frame has been optimized for it. As such, it is imperative I use it to destroy the Empire's enemies. So never use it again. Akuda is probably very well versed in Chinese history. Maybe? Yes, now that you hear, our victory is all but assured. So those were the Chaldeans. They hail from the same world as you do. They're our sworn enemy, invaders who threaten the Empire's peace and prosperity. We can never coexist with them. Their goals and empires are fundamentally opposed. I see. They did seem surprised to hear that name, Jiang Yu. What you told me sounded impossible, but it seemed really is true. There was truly a history where I am known as Jiang Yu. There is truly a history where I am known as Jiang Yu. So, is he not actually Jiang Yu? 3 turns instead? 1 turn, 3 turns, it's all the same. That's right, a single wayward branch of the history led you to being given the name Jiang Yu, and later generations know you as a human man. Me, a human? How could something so bizarre come to be? No matter how many times you tell me, it never ceases to surprise. That's how much Chinese history rippled out to the rest of the world. The Emperor had passed away after a normal lifespan. Enough, merely imagining such a thing gives us chills. Quiet, Your Imperial Majesty. My humblest apologies. So tell us, how did you find your long-awaited return to the field of battle? My calculations show a clear path to victory. Let me handle the particulars, and defeat King Chaldea will be no trouble. We see. Still, one can never be too careful. Thus, we have given Qin Liang Yu a battalion and sent her to join you. You'll rendezvous with her and finish the enemy for good, ensuring a glorious victory for the Empire. Yes, Your Imperial Majesty. As they say, cleverness has never been associated with long delays. Now that we have Lord Jiang Yu with us, our victory has foregone conclusion. I think we should move to eliminate Chaldea as soon as possible. Surely you jest, Akuda. You have fled from them not once but twice now. Your tactical insight, such as it is neither necessary nor welcome. Yes, Your Imperial Majesty. Please forgive my outburst. Good. You are not to make a move until Qin Liang Yu arrives. Until then, you will continue to monitor Chaldea to ensure that you do not turn tail and run. As you wish. It looks like we are taking the fight to her. Berserker, so we're probably against Jiang Yu and Saber. So given that we're going to their camp, they have not received any reinforcements in the form of automata. And I'm pretty sure those automata were riders. We are likely against Lan Ling, or whatever his name is. So, it's time to bring in AUO. Oh, Gil is the most recent one that I 10. How foolish of me. Although now you do have me wondering. Before I jump into that, I want to see how many golden gems do I have? The lowest I have is Secret Gems of Lancer, but given that it's 51, I want to say, I could still get 3 Lancers to 10, 10, 10. I'm doing pretty good on gems, but I haven't gone 666 like you have, so that's probably why. Alright. Waver and Merlin supporting Gil. Should be fine. Okay, you said you learned something in your analysis, Holmes. Oh, I mean, I was a day 1 player too. However, and I've told this story many times. However, this was my first actual gacha game. So, I didn't like the AP system originally. I didn't know how to level up my servants. So they were, or rather, I didn't know how to farm efficiently, so they were very low leveled. I think my strongest servants were Sumanai, Martha, and Saber Lily, because I burnt all of my quartz on the Gil banner and didn't get Gil. I did have a K-scope at that point, but again, I didn't really know how to play, so I got up to, I want to say it was Orleans is the first. Okeanos is the boat singularity. I got to the Okeanos singularity. The enemies were just too powerful for me to really deal with. So I didn't uninstall the game, but I just, like, straight up stopped playing. I didn't even stick around for login bonuses or stuff. And it was thanks to Shotgun Shogun that I took a look at the game again, and I came in at the perfect time because it was when Ryder Kentoki's event was just starting. So I got the gloriousness that is Golden Boy Ryder Kentoki. The secret 5-star rider in a 4-star package. And I leveled up so much during that event. It was insane. And it got me back in the fast track for this game. But yeah, I thank my return on Ryder Kentoki and Shotgun Shogun. Okay, you said you learned something in your analysis, Holmes? Thanks to the remains of the automata we recovered earlier, I believe I have learned something. With Crown Prince Nez's help, I have examined their inner workings, and yes, they look like me. That's what I speculated earlier. Their quality, however, is most unfortunate. The mechanisms only imitate my own. Ah, you're a friend that educated you in the game before you started. Yeah, that would have definitely been helpful if I knew what the heck I was doing. Like, even then, I didn't really farm super efficiently. It wasn't until I started streaming that people were questioning why I didn't have Arash leveled up that I started to actually use Arash and AoE servants for farming. Which is kinda sad. Arash was not leveled up until I hit Camelot. Babylonia is when I started to level Arash up. So yeah. I was stuck in a rut for quite some time. There is much degradation. It pales in comparison to great Tai Zenren's famed work. You live and learn, living on the edge of tomorrow. Live and learn, you may never find your way. Ah, that song was always good. A sage, Tai Zenren, and his lotus spirit. So then you think these soldiers use sage arts as a base instead of science? Even so, I suppose it is impressive that they work as well as they do with makeshift parts instead of jewels of the old sage world. The key problem we face is that centaur-like creature the enemy called Jiang Yu. What do you make of the combat footage I showed you, Nezha? Oh yes, this one. As much more like I am than the clay dolls. I have not seen his interior, but I can say that much for certain. Many of his movements resemble my own style. Even though his form was so radically different from yours? I think it was extra. Arms were bolted on. Later, his techniques still reflect a human-shaped body. If he had been made in that form to start, he would move much more naturally. Okay, can there please eventually be, like, some sort of skill rank-up quest for Nessa that will get her to speak in full frickin' sentences? Her dialogue is so annoying. I see. A true martial artist's perspective proves most illuminating here. To crib, from Holmes, this is just a preliminary theory. But I think he was originally a humanoid, patterned after my design. Yeah, I know. I mean, yes, there is something charming to it, but it also can get a little annoying to a degree. I don't know. Nessa is a cool character, I will admit. I didn't remember her from Journey to the West, but I don't think I actually played the original Journey to the West, so Salem was my first introduction to her as a character. And makes you wonder if she squeaks. I mean, she is a robot, but she does sound like she's made of jewel parts. So she's made of jewel parts rather than mechanical. Do jewels squeak if you rub them up against one another? I'm not rich enough to think. No, apparently she is not actually, because in the Journey to the West rerun, she does have a part to play in it. So Salem is when she's released as a servant, but she was apparently first introduced as a character all the way back in Journey to the West. So, in addition, we know that the other mechanical soldiers are much weaker, thanks to the mechanisms made less complex. Prince Nessa's body was made with the sage arts from the Shang dynasty, lost before the Age of Qin. However, in this world, Qin Shi Huang managed to recover and gain an understanding of these arts. Scientific progress could subsequently have evolved them into something wholly different from what they were in popular human history. And that could also explain how the Emperor managed to become immortal here, and why this Lostbelt has such unusual technology. This is no time to be admiring their handiwork. We should be asking ourselves what they're doing. For some reason, they haven't made a move. They've just been monitoring us from their camp about 2 kilometers away. My guess is they're waiting for something. Their silence is rather unnerving. For the moment, I've asked Mr. Soul to take the servants and remain on standby. How dare they treat Tai Zenran's work with less respect than it is due. When we next meet, I will show them the power of my fire-tipped spear. What the hell was that monster? I mean, I do like Nessa, don't get me wrong. She is a very cool servant. And she's had enough story significance that, you know, she is in the higher favored category than some. But, I don't know, it's just like the dialogue, it's just like, that's the only peeve I really have about Nessa, is the way she speaks. I don't know. And I know, clearly a lot of people like it, it's part of her charm. And at times it can be charming, but like when there's one-word sentences, I don't know. That's fine, Crow. That's fine. I'll be here when you get back. Probably an hour. I should be here still in an hour. But thanks for, if I'm not, thanks for stopping by. But go walk the dog. Walk the dog like you've never walked the dog before. I can't believe how strong he was. He wasn't that strong. Yeah, and he wasn't just some muscle-headed dumbass either. See, strength's actually a double-edged sword. If you're faster and more skilled than a stronger opponent, then you can still kick his ass all the way up and down the yard. But that guy was, how do I put this? His eyes were cold as ice, a far cry from the mania of the battlefield. They were the eyes of an oppressor if ever I've seen them. He must be defeated, no matter the cost. Yeah, he was freakishly cool-headed. Like he was just calmly assessing our every move. It feels like he was predicting exactly what we would do and what he needed to do to avoid every attack. Very creepy. It was well beyond martial arts. It was also strange that Prince of Lanling called him Jiang Yu. If Qin Shi Huang is really still alive, I suppose it's not too strange that Jiang Yu might still be too, since they lived at the same time. Yeah, they might have both been alive back then, but that thing we fought today wasn't even human. For that matter, why would Jiang Yu be a general working under Qin Emperor? I mean, I've only learned about this recently myself when I became a servant. But Jiang Yu was a central figure in the rebellion that destroyed the Qin dynasty after Qin Shi Huang died, right? I heard he competed with Liu Bang, the guy who went on to create the Han dynasty for control of China. Okay, let's see, he was always born to fight. Would someone like that just bend the knee and serve Qin all meek and obedient? I'm afraid I've got even more bad news. There's a new army headed this way, and not by rocket this time. If these readings are right, it looks like they're on a wheeled transport. More reinforcements. Yep, and the fact that they're traveling by land means they aren't mechanical soldiers. This is a real flesh and blood army, led by an actual human general. This means the Qin has been waiting for rendezvous with them. Probably. I guess they plan to end this by combining those armies to absolutely crush us. If they've overwhelmed us with sheer numbers, they will have no way of fighting back. This is certainly a rather dire predicament. We can't even run away. There's nowhere we can hide in this wide open field. We should make the first move ourselves. Smart. Are you mad, you fool? You're not here to formulate a strategy, especially not without asking me. Besides, you just saw for yourself how frighteningly strong that Jiang Yu monster is. Attacking first would be far too reckless. We always retreat from this Lostbelt if necessary. Oh, wait, never mind, I'll never be cured if we do that. We have to find a way to hold our ground. But then again, that Jiang Yu robot scares the hell out of me. What is he anyway, some kind of living storm? I see us commanders pretty rather too. Yes, it might be reckless to go on the offensive now, but if we just wait around for the reinforcements to get here, we won't have a prayer. We should challenge that storm again. If nothing else, to chip away at the enemy's forces. You're always so calm and collected, Jiang. And do you think they're making the first move? Let's wait to go, then we may just have a chance. Alright, let's go on the attack. But be warned, I'm going to be keeping an even closer eye on Sil's vitals than usual. Remember, we didn't come to China just so you could burn yourself out. You'll need to be real careful. Hey, so long as we're taking your business before Sol gets worn out, that's all good, right?
Either way, if we just stand here and wait for their reinforcements, we'll run out of options entirely. I say we strike now while the rebellion is hot.
Alright, let's do our best, Master. What? They've gone on the attack. That's right, the Master of Chaldea and his servants are charging in like fools. This is perfect. Not even the Emperor would stop us from engaging invaders.
Are you sure about that? We could still remain on the defensive until reinforcements arrive.
No sooner we finish them off, the better. We're more strong with Lord Jiang Yu.
Very well then, I will do my best.
I will join you, Hegemon King of the Western Shu. It will be an honor to fight alongside such a legendary hero. This time we're going to obliterate Chaldea and the Master. Don't leave so much as a trace of them behind.
Oh, it's not me who's going to be being obliterated. It's you who's going to be obliterated by me.
She has used one of her command scenes already as well, which is interesting. Oh, okay. I was worried I was about to start a turn with something, but... Alright, I mean, we've got Gil here, ready to go. Jiang Yu is actually stupidly powerful! I would really like... I'm gonna risk this. If we can attack fast enough, we may not have to worry about the, Noble Phantasms. We just need a triple threat from Gil with some stars. Invincible? Ugh, that's gonna be slightly annoying, but I can deal. How long is that invincibility? 2 left for 3 turns. So... I've already started buffing here is the issue. Jiang Yu does have more bars.
Get them to equal footings. You might be able to get another NP off if we get the crit on the arts. Yeah, I think this is the right move. Jiang Yu is a berserker, he is the bigger threat regardless. Saber doesn't even have an offensive no phantasm, so Lan Ling can. It's these that are probably going to do more effects. Ooh, that crit on the Buster. And there goes Merlin, there goes he. It's a good thing he's already served his purpose. And go Gil, go Gil, go. Get that NP charged up here, man. And next turn we should be able to eliminate the Prince of Lan Ling's, or we can win right here and now. I'm gonna be honest, I was feeling very confident there. I felt like I could have wiped them. Because we could have had a Gil NP next turn, get rid of the invincibility, NP in. Shit, the enemy reinforcements are almost here. We weren't too late, we won! That was a screech. That's enough. Both sides lay down your arms. What? But we almost got them. Stand down, Okuda Higanako. The Emperor commands it. What's the meaning of this, Your Imperial Majesty? I thought you were singing Kin Liang Yu and her army's reinforcements. Indeed, I was. I ordered her to find Okuda in Chaldea and led her aid to whichever side was losing. You were kidding me. You're still being merciful to Chaldea. How many times do I have to tell you? These barbarians are a threat to your entire empire. Ha! Barbarians, is it? It seems you've forgotten what we told you. So far as we are concerned, you and Okuda are every bit as barbaric as these Chaldeans. Be that as it may, we are beginning to get a clear picture of the matters here. The quarrel between you, Okuda, and the Chaldeans has nothing to do with us. You merely hope to use our territory as a stage to settle this quarrel. And so we are taking our time to assess both our allies and enemies to determine who truly benefits our empire, and who is merely a useless interloper. Well, of course Okuda and I have been useful to you, right, Your Imperial Majesty? We came here to serve the empire in its hour of need. Ah yes, that reminds us, what is the dire threat our empire faces? Is it the Chaldeans who have stumbled in like drunkards? Is it an invasion of Xiangyang, my capital? What say you, Hanjin?
No, Your Imperial Majesty. The theory that poses the greatest danger to the Empire lies outside that massive impenetrable storm. I speak, of course, of the entire rest of the world, as is not cut off from Your Imperial Majesty's blessings.
Then what is currently our most pressing need?
That would be to gather information about the world outside the storm. And not by taking a stranger's word, but by sending out soldiers you know and trust.
Good, good. That is precisely what we had planned. We expect no less from one of our most loyal retainers. Very well. How might we go about sending soldiers into the storm to investigate? I doubt the ones who came here from their will be much help. Whatever ability lets them come from their world is most likely something that only they can use on themselves. What are the most recent arrivals to our domain?
The Chaldeans seem to have crossed the storm using some sort of strange vehicle. So if we had that vehicle, we should be able to do the same, theoretically. We would have needed to learn to use this vehicle, if not how it was built and also how it functions, but once we do, it should serve to transfer the Empire's armies to the world outside.
This Empire is good. No, that's a surprising amount of clarity about big and small pictures. There you have it. Chaldea is much more valuable bargaining chip than either you or Kuta. If you wish to negotiate with us, you will need to offer something far greater than value. Tayun Skapan. My name is Koyan Skaya. Are you sure you are doing this on purpose, Your Imperial Majesty? Of course, we thought we were doing you a kindness since you would surely dislike being called by the name you deserve. Or would you prefer we forego all consideration and call you Daishi, a foxwoman? Ooh. Pardon me. House was completely unarmed. Oh, snap! There. Oh, this just got very interesting. You grossly underestimate our intelligence as well as our Imperial Guard's proficiency in Kung Fu. We are almost offended. She must have thought this was still the same China she was enjoying toying with as she pleased. Now then, let us begin our negotiations anew. Negotiations. Hello there, loyal soldiers and people of Chaldea. We trust you can hear our voice.
Who said that? Mash's shield. So he can tap into the frequency of Mash's shield. Interesting.
The voice of an empire is heard by all its citizens no matter where they may be. You will find them just as surely as the sun's rays. In this case, we are merely focusing a magnetic beam upon that girl's shield, thereby causing it to vibrate. We could use anything of sufficient rigidity, but we assume you preferred your skulls not rattle directly.
The voice of the Empire? What does that mean?
We are prepared to hand over this Koya something or other person you have been seeking out so desperately.
You mean Koya Skaya?
Correct. However, in exchange, you must agree to let us examine that vehicle of yours in detail. Accept this condition and we will guarantee you safe conduct in these lands. None will dare threaten you while you are under our protection.
What, Your Imperial Majesty? What are you saying?
Akuda Hinako, if you had shown yourself capable of capturing that vehicle unharmed, we would never resort to these measures. But you have all but trumpeted your intention of leaving not so much as a trace of Chaldea behind. You fought to destroy them, Shadow World and all, despite being fully aware that is not what we desired. Still, the Foxwoman aside, you have your uses, so we will treat you accordingly. We will not punish you merely for acting against our wishes. However, know that if you insist on continuing to war with Chaldea, you will face the White Cavalry's spears.
They warned if my Emperor commands it, I will show you no mercy.
What would you have me do, Master?
You have little choice but to accept this for now.
Very well then, Chaldea, now that we have all had all the time to calm down, what is your answer? Oh, and do note that our audio is not as crisp as our video. When you wish to speak to us, make sure that you face directly upwards and raise your voice. For apologists, having another option of exiting our current predicament is more than we could have hoped for, even if that option may cause other problems down the road. At this point, I believe capturing Koyan and securing an enter is far and away our highest priority, though of course Mr. Solon will need to make the final call.
Oh, not me. We want to just keep your position to ourselves for now. Besides, that voice is speaking to Sol, and I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be happy about being interrupted.
Yes, we would love a truce, dude. Good, good. That's a most reasonable answer. Now then, let us be certain of one thing before we begin to make arrangements. Do you know who we are?
Oh, I'm sure that could get some dialogue, but you are Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of the Qin.
Right you are. We thought we might need to explain all that in excruciating detail. We are relieved to see that these concerns were baseless. Very well then, now that we know you're properly under our eminence, let us proceed. To begin, Qin Liang Yu has brought with her a number of engineers. You will admit them along with their equipment aboard the Shadow Border.
Well, we know they won't break anything.
Very well then, we will have our engineers conduct their work entirely under Chaldea's supervision. However, be aware that they will not cease their investigation until they are satisfied with the results. We trust you can work together in good faith. Any other questions?
Yeah, how? Yeah, and I thought I heard you say something about magnetic beams. Gotta rest a bit more back hurting? You have to wait, you have to rest, or... Sorry, I don't even know when you typed that in. I just looked, I thought you were gonna be gone for an hour and nobody else was here, so it's like, wait, no, that's new. You're good, man, you're good. Just kind of took me off back. Took me off guard. But, no, if you're asking if my back's hurting, no, it's just me adjusting to, get into a more comfortable sitting position.
I'm speaking to you directly above you, of course. Turn your heads upwards and it should become abundantly clear.
Because your back was hurting. Fair enough, yeah. Personally, don't have experience with it, but I do know back pain can be very bad. My dad's been dealing with it for a good year, ever since he was in a car accident. Directly above us, you mean?
Yes, the Great Wall.
The Great Wall? But I thought that was built on the ground.
The ground? Oh, you mean that thing we once used to keep the Huns away?
So, they made the Great Wall of China in space.
Just out of date is your knowledge of China. There has not been a Great Wall in the ground since our empire absorbed all other nations. Does that mean this empire has no longer has any foreign enemies? Correct. This entire planet is now our domain. As such, any outside barbarians that might pose a threat that have come from beyond the sky. Naturally, we could not merely sit around waiting for such hostile visitors to arrive, or it will be too late to defend against them. So we decided to fortify our defenses ahead of time. This great feat of architecture was built over the course of 300 years. Perhaps you know that the original Great Wall's name meant the 10,000 Li Yong Castle. This is far longer. If I were to measure it in Li, it would measure 130,424 Li in length.
That's also probably the number of those weird shaped things are. Man, where do I even begin picking that apart? You say that we began space development in the 18th century. That's as preposterous as Gandhi. There is Cyprus versus, oh god, Gandhi dropping the atom bomb. Oh, Gordy. Gandhi is notorious for his atomic bombs.
We admit we did believe that the only possible threat to our empire might come from the stars. But we must say, even we did not expect to face one of this particular nature. Indeed, it was a great shock to see those impenetrable storm clouds, if that is even what they are, suddenly appear around this area of China.
Glitch for the win, indeed.
We no longer receive reports from the parts of the Great Wall that extend beyond China. The only parts that seem to function are those above China. The light of our glory once encompassed the entire globe, but now, those accursed storm clouds have severed us from our own world, plunging it back into darkness. This is a tragedy. Without our guardians, our people will regress back to a state of chaos and violence. Thus, we must once again bring peace and harmony to the rest of the world.
That's why you want the Shadow Border.
Yes, that said, this single vehicle alone is insufficient to our purposes. We will need to produce a vast quantity of them, and of greater sizes capable of carrying much larger cargo, and so we shall require blueprints.
Ah, so that's why you want us to let your engineers analyze it.
Given that you are able to pass through a storm that permits no physical interference whatsoever, we assume you are able to pass through void space.
I'm impressed. I can't believe you figured that out at a glance.
We understand the theory, of course, but cannot imagine how it was actually achieved, and so we wish to learn how this conveyance was constructed. Ideally, we would like to confiscate it and disassemble it to be thorough, but that would be a great inconvenience too, would it not? So we are willing to compromise and simply work with data alone. Consider this a display of our benevolence.
Yeah, outside the storm is,
Ah yes, Kuda and that foxwoman told us some nonsense about Lostbelts and pruning theoretical phenomena. If you insist upon feeding us the same lies, we may lose our temper.
Now would be a great time to stop talking, Soul. Okay, interesting. So, the other Lostbelts, at the very least, had knowledge that there were other Lostbelts, but it looks like this one has remained ignorant, probably because he thinks he already owns the whole world, so there's no chance for it, and purporting theoretical phenomena that would imply that his world was pruned, and he might not want to think about that.
There is no point in guessing why you visitors speak of the outside world in such vague generalities. We'll make our own judgments once we have seen past the storm wall for ourselves. May I ask you something, Your Imperial Majesty? Did a strange tree happen to appear in this land around the same time as the storm, specifically a tree of light so large it reaches up to the sky? What an odd question. Do such things often appear out of nowhere in your world? We see you are still hiding something from us, Akuda. Well, no matter, we are well aware she has some card to play. No doubt they have something to do with her differences with you. Our interest, though, lies solely in maintaining peace in our empire and reclaiming its territories. We have no intention of becoming involved in disputes between visitors unless those disputes become something that affects us. Now then, let us be candid. You inquired about a tree of light. The answer is no. Our sight extends to all of China, and we have observed nothing of the sort.
Oh, China, huh? Since it seems like you don't stand on formality too much, I'm just gonna ask. Are you sure you don't mind speaking with us directly like this, Your Imperial Majesty?
What do you mean?
Well, most people in positions like yours like to, dress up their negotiations a bit, right? They like to trot out their intermediaries or representatives and the like. Usually they make a point of never meeting face to face. I mean, drawing a firm line between themselves and the lesser people by refusing to speak to them directly is a big part of how nobles like to demonstrate their differences in status, right?
What a strange thing to say at this point. You see, in your world, monarchs are so insecure that they refuse to even permit themselves to be seen for fear of seeming less than perfect. Tell us, does the sun seek to hide from the public eye? Does the moon hide itself from the people's gaze? We are the Emperor, the child of heaven, the celestial existence who reigns over all of our citizens. That is why we permit them audience. Just as the sunlight bathes every corner of the earth, so too does our glory shed upon every person on this world who looks up to us. So we suppose that if the sun looked the same as everyone else, we may feel the need to put on a bit of a show to emphasize power and status.
Then you mightn't let us see your face?
Now what are you going on about? You have been gazing upon my visage for some time now.
Huh?
Well, we suppose you cannot see us with your naked eyes, not with the horizon in the way, but you still have been observing us with those mechanical birds of yours, have you not? Indeed, our eyes have met a number of times.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. We've been observing Xiangyang from a distance, but...
He's a frickin' city! What? You stare at us without realizing who it is you look upon. How insolent. We suppose you could not help your ignorance, but now that you know, you should be more careful.
Well, wait. Hang on, anything else that floating thing above Xiangyang is...
Yes, that is us. Well, that's certainly... One way to become immortal is to upload yourself into a giant computer. This holy vessel is a result of us banning our earthly body as it could only deteriorate, and imbuing all our authority within this machine instead. The 2200 years that have passed since the body has grown and expanded along with our nation, and now we shall never touch the ground again. Still, our grandeur is readily apparent in this form, making it easy for our people to understand. We are the first and last emperor, the immortal ruler who shall reign over this world for all of eternity. We are Qin Shi Huang. Okay, very interesting. He's become a giant mass. He's abandoned his humanity. Just like the bots. Just like the bots have abandoned their humanity. Three eternal gears, though.